तो हमको अपने टीचर्स के लिए इन्वेस्ट करना होगा. एंड इट्स नॉट अबाउट बीइंग कैरिस्मेटिक, इट इज जस्ट अबाउट बीइंग नेचुरल. It's just about being authentic. It is just about being in touch with yourself.
You teach who you are. So if something has to begin, it has to start with adults, the teachers, right? How engage with kids, right? Do you see that divinity in the kids? Right? And whatever we do in the classroom, is it really aligned to the basic nature of the children? बच्चे तो भागते हैं, दौड़ते हैं, सवाल करते हैं, फिडल करते हैं. This is the basic, but our classroom structure is so rigid.
It's a lot to do with nanny culture. मतलब वो बच्चा अगर पीडियाट्रिशियन के रूम में जा रहा है तो मैं उसको क्या बोलती हूँ, टोकरी में लेके जा रहे हो बच्चे को. वो एक जो कार की सीट होती है. Where is this bonding with your child? Your child, you wanted to have this child. What are we doing?
No, it should be experiential. बातें नहीं, कुछ बातें तो करनी नहीं है, किसी को ज्ञान नहीं देना है, उनको एक्सपीरियंस में लाना है.
In some sense, this is probably the most special panel of the day, because to put everything together, all the ideas, all the theories, all the concepts, to put it all together and go from a dialogue to a national movement, that's the topic that we'll be discussing today. It's a pleasure to have an absolutely distinguished panel with me here. So we have Bodhi Paras, as I know him as Ashwin, founder of Zorba the Buddha, one of the world's largest open faith spiritual centers. So while most people talk, he actually walks the talk. His center runs 400 courses a year rooted in the Osho tradition. So he's been in the business of transforming people for over 25 years, I believe.
Thank you. Yes.
Welcome, Ashwin.
20 years.
To my left, we have a dear friend, Atika Dhandia. She is a senior faculty with the Art of Living. And I know you haven't given me the number, but you must have changed the lives of over 100,000 people so far, Atika, with all the meditation courses that you run. So she's a direct practitioner, somebody who touches the lives of people through meditation practices of the art of living, and has a ringside view of what are the problems today and how to actually solve them. Dr. Mahesh Prasad, welcome to the panel. A very, very distinguished educator. You've been with the army schools, you've been with the step-by-step school, and a very distinguished education consultant. When people have education problems, they go to him and he finds solutions for them. And then we have Dr. Roma. Dr. Saab is a clinical psychologist and the head of the Department of Psychology at the Gangaram Hospital. It's very difficult to get an appointment with her. But here she is today, talking about health, mental health and well-being. So, Ashwin, you run a center which, as I said, does 400 courses a year. Okay, this is a serious question. And most of the people that come to your center are people who are trying to discover spirituality once they've attained a certain age in life. They are 30 years old, 40, 50, 60 or even more. Why do you think it is that at a certain stage of life we hit a crisis and then we start thinking of spirituality? Don't you think, or do you agree or disagree, that we should start right from grade 1 when the child is 5 or 6 years old and give him the tools of meditation, of pranayam, of yoga, so that they don't come to your center when they are 40 looking for answers?
Yeah, so then I have to start the school. So that, yeah, I totally agree that spirituality, what I mean is science. I'm not meaning yoga or going to mandir, going to Kataini mandir or whatever mandirs. It is to bring more joy and happiness in our life with a lot of fun, joy. And it can happen. And children like something like that, which is alive, which is joyful, and boring होगा तो भाग जाएंगे वो. So the question is that we have to bring them in the schools. Schools, but so the consciousness will grow from individual. That means it has to come to a child. Then children, the teachers need to be trained. And then the parents. So they should know that what is the benefit of it. So what I want to say is that anything which we work with children, it has not to be from Vedas or yoga or any of these kind of traditional Indian things. No. It has to be totally science. How you can be more happy and joyous. And a lot of new psychology can come in. What I meant is that whatever we are doing, it should be brought to the body. शरीर में लाना है. इंटेलेक्चुअल मैस्टरबेशन से क्या होने वाला है? कुछ नहीं. उनको शरीर में लाना है उनके. They should feel joyful. And it should come in their body. And they need a lot of activity. They need physical movement. बच्चे को बोलोगे आप बैठ जाओ और ऐसे मंत्र पढ़ो, वो भाग जाएगा वो तो. कहाँ बैठ सकता है वो? उसमें इतनी एक्टिविटी चाहिए, उसको एनर्जी चाहिए. We need some physical work with that. We have to embody that into their body and then it will come. Without bringing their body, activity, movement, it will not happen. And we should not throw something which from these Vedas or Puranas or this and that. And just that is all crap. For this education, we need something practical, something more joyful. So that these people are looking forward to this class. And then things will change. And from one to one. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashwin, for that contrarian view. And Atika, I'll come to you. You and the Art of Living has probably the largest infrastructure in the world for teaching meditation and pranayam, not just in India, but over 130 countries across the
180
world.
plus.
180 countries across the world.
Yeah.
And you've already touched the lives of millions of people.
Yes.
But the problems in our world and in our society still remain severe.
Right.
These problems actually seem to be growing day by day.
Right.
So do you think that despite all the work that has been done by yourself and so many other spiritual organizations, somehow we are not able to penetrate the core of what would bring about societal change? Is meditation or spiritual practices just a check box that somebody does over the weekend and then they go back to work and it's all the same again for them?
First of all, Shantanu, I would like you to reframe what you're saying because you're a meditator and whatever somebody like him thinks will come true. So I seriously feel, because he's done so much in this field, you already brought the change. So let us talk from a platform where the change is happening. Can we all do that? What do you feel? What do you say about the children today? Don't you think they are spiritual? Hannah? They already know a lot of things. Yes? How many of you agree with that? They already know. Yeah? So, and people like you, people like my organization, we are just trigger points. Yes? This is number one, that already I see a lot of change. Like when I started, okay, when I got into spirituality, I got into it by accident. I thought Art of Living, it was an interior decoration class. I did not want to go into spirituality. I did not want a guru. I happened to be there by accident, and I was so put off when I entered my class and they said, Jai Gurudev. I said, oh my God, ye kahan aa gaye, kahan fas gaye? But you know, one more thing happened. Immediately, simultaneously, as soon as I entered my class, I was put off by Jai Gurudev, I was put off by the picture in the background, but I fell in love with my teachers. They were a couple. And they had the most beautiful twinkling eyes. And they had presence. And I'm telling you, I had no स्पिरिचुअलिटी क्या होती है मुझे ये भी नहीं पता था, बट आई कुड सेंस देयर प्रेजेंस. I wanted to spend time with them. And so I stayed on the first day. It was a 5-day program. By mistake, I had entered. I stayed on the first day because I fell in love. Love at first sight. I did not fill up the form. I did not pay the money because I thought I'm not going to come here the second day. Yeah, this is how my journey started, because my teachers gave me something which was out of this world. Their presence. Their lightness of being. So when we are talking about bringing this into society, we can't just say कि बच्चों को हमको कुछ modules देने हैं in a moral science class and in a whichever way. It does not work like that anymore, especially with this kind of the children that we are having today. They are so intelligent. They can teach us about spirituality. They know what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad. So we have to make sure it's not about what content we are giving them. For me personally, Shantanu, what is more important is who is giving them. And with what mindset that person is giving it to them. I go to a lot of schools, I go to a lot of colleges, and where we say that we want to do this program for the children, the authorities at the top agree to me like that. But when I start dealing with the people below that, they create a lot of problems, because उनको पता अगर ये फिर से क्लास करवा ली तो उनके लिए added एक काम बढ़ जाएगा. The teachers here would understand what I'm talking about, because they are already doing so much. At school, at work, at home. They are mothers also, they are teachers also. Yes, they are super women, these teachers who are teaching the children. And then added to that, okay, art of living class karao bachcho ke liye. Their workload increases. So I'm saying, Shantanu, that we need to do something for them also. They also need to pause, reflect. They also need to be happy in their lives, and then they can transfer this happiness to the children, and in a fun sort of a way. And yes, I a little bit disagree with Ashwinji that our Vedas are very scientific. Whatever what we have received from our ancient heritage has a lot in it, and it is really, really scientific. We just need to kind of give it to the children in their language, which they will understand. Thank you.
Surely. Thank you, Adhika. I have a very quick follow-up question with you.
Yeah.
So you rightly said,
Yeah.
I agree with you there,
Yeah.
but I see a huge problem in what you said.
Right.
You said it's not about what you give them, it is about who gives them.
Yeah.
Now clearly we get it that you are a charismatic teacher. If you go and do a class, people fall in love with you, they love your courses. But how many, is it scalable? Because to address the problem of 25 crore children just in India, we can't produce enough Atika Dhandiyas around.
Okay, I'm glad you asked me
How
this
do you
question.
scale this? Because you can't have, few charismatic teachers hold the baton for transforming society.
Right. So I might not have the answer to it today, but I also know, it was in my mind, we are dealing with two type of children in the societies that we are living in. One set of children is like the daughter of my friend who's 15, 16-year-old who says, "Mom, I will sue you if you take away my freedom." She says that to the mother. She's studying in one of the topmost schools of the country, in Delhi. And then we are also dealing with a juvenile who committed the Nirbhaya case. I found out he was going to school. हमको उनको भी सुधारना है, उनके लिए भी कुछ करना है. We are dealing with these two different society levels. तो हमको अपने टीचर्स के लिए इन्वेस्ट करना होगा. एंड इट्स नॉट अबाउट बीइंग कैरिस्मेटिक, इट इज जस्ट अबाउट बीइंग नेचुरल, इट्स जस्ट अबाउट बीइंग ऑथेंटिक, इट इज जस्ट अबाउट बीइंग इन टच विद योरसेल्फ. दैट्स इट.
So on that segue, Dr. Mahesh, I'll come to you. You've headed some of the most prestigious schools in the country. And a lot of people, I mean, today, this is 2026, the 27th of April, we are talking about this. And still, obviously, the roadmap of spirituality in schools hasn't been developed. But in 2020, the National Education Policy came out, and today a wise gentleman came on the stage and said, "Usme to sab kuch hai. Everything is there. We saying you should do IKS also, you should do this." So why have schools, such as the ones you've headed before in the past, have hesitated? They have not really opened their door. What is holding them back?
अभी तक मेरे को लगता है अभी काफी लोग अब थक चुके होंगे स्पिरिचुअलिटी की बात सुनते सुनते. फर्स्ट वी नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड द कनोटेशन ऑफ स्पिरिचुअलिटी, नो, नॉट समथिंग एसोटेरिक, some occult practices. I would say that children by nature are spiritual. No, you don't need to make them spiritual, right? Children look at flowers or things around them with awe and wonder, and they feel the deep connect with them, right? And I think when they enter the system is so rigid, so regimented, that whatever the spirituality they have, right, okay, it kills it. Now, if you see art, music, theatre, I would say these are highly, highly spiritual things which are highly spiritual nature. उसमें हमने assessment डाल दिया, grade A, grade B, grade C डाल दिया, grading करना शुरू कर दिया. Everything is unique. Every piece of art or music, anything, everything is unique. You can't compare one with another, right? You can't say this is the best and the other one is the second best. So we need to see that how we can create those spaces where we can nurture that spirituality which is already existing. See, one of the greatest educational thinker, I have great regards for him. Some of you must have read about him, Gijubhai Badeka. दिवास्वप्न you must read, right? तो हमारे यहाँ बोलते हैं ना कि भाई मातृ देवो पितृ देवो भव गुरु देवो भव, तो गिजू भाई वुड से बाल देवो भव. और बच्चों में अगर आपने डिविनिटी नहीं देखी तो फिर क्या देखें? And when it comes to curriculum, so there is no curriculum. I see curriculum as a praxis, no, as a verb, not as a noun. Okay, and there is no curriculum under the sun which is teacher proof, right? So you teach who you are. So if something has to begin, it has to start with adults, the teachers, right? How engage with kids, right? Do you see that divinity in the kids, right? And whatever we are doing in the classroom, is it really aligned to the basic nature of the children? बच्चे तो भागते हैं, दौड़ते हैं, सवाल करते हैं, fiddle करते हैं. This is the basic. But our classroom structure is so rigid. There is no space for questioning, right? And then, of course, I strongly believe that teaching is not about telling. Allowing children to explore. And never like, Petra Saab asked a question. I think being with the question, just with the discomfort of not knowing is important. Why you have to know every answer, right? Okay, you need to have the humility. Okay, oh, I'm stuck in. I don't know yet. Maybe tomorrow I'll get to know. So I think you don't need to do different, but I think but surely we need to work with our teachers, with the policymakers, and how do we sensitize our teachers, the people, those who go into the classroom, and how we can make the classroom transaction joyful, where children feel connected to the learners. See, in fact, your topic was the dialogue.
From dialogue to national movement.
Now the dialogue word is so powerful. In fact, we don't know how to engage in dialogue. Okay, we are or either debating or brainstorming or indulging in some kind of a superficial conversation. But if we can learn the art of dialoguing, how to engage in dialogue, I think that will be a spiritual transformation, I would say. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Roma, you are at a hospital. It's a big hospital at that. So you see what arrives at the hospital, the anxiety disorders, the self-harm situations, the depression. So tell me or tell us, from a clinical standpoint, are we dealing with a generation that is psychologically unwell? Or are we dealing with a generation that was never given the tools to manage and regulate the issues that come? What is the problem? Is it a medical problem or is it an education problem?
That's a tough one to begin with. It's a whole, you'll take a whole evening talking about it. Well, I do work in a hospital setup, and I also run my own clinic. So I've been in this profession now over 4 decades. So what I've seen until now is a journey. Look, before I begin saying anything, I would start off by a small example of a kid who's 3.5-year-old who goes to his grandmother, and the grandmother had lost her own mom. So he used to call her Big Nani. And he goes to her, and that's her birthday, the grandmother's birthday, after a couple of months. And he's just sitting and having a conversation, and suddenly out of the blue, he tells the grandmom that, "Are you missing Big Nani?" All playful, joyful, everything good. Where is this question coming from? There's no picture in the room, there's nothing. And this kid is talking that. And then after a while, he asks another question to the grandmom that, in which vehicle did Big Nani go? And this happens to be my grandson. It all starts with how you parent, how you nurture, how you talk, what communication skills do you have with children. It doesn't begin at 12, it doesn't begin at 20, it doesn't begin in grade 1, it begins at birth. It begins there. How you are making conversations with your children, how you are listening to them. We hardly hear them. We're always directing the children to do what, to do not, to dress up, to study, to become like another child who's a neighbor's child, or on the screen where the child is performing. And then we talk of anxieties in a 4-year-old. What are we doing? I think we need to question ourselves how we are raising our children, how we are nurturing. And it's not the child. It's but I'm also belonging to this community. It's a lot to do with nanny culture. मतलब वो बच्चा अगर पीडियाट्रिशियन के रूम में जा रहा है तो मैं उसको क्या बोलती हूँ, टोकरी में लेके जा रहे हो बच्चे को. वो एक जो कार की सीट होती है. Where is this bonding with your child? Your child, you wanted to have this child. What are we doing? One class to another class to another class, and then you decide that the child needs to, study and do your homework. किसको दिखा रहे हो? क्या करना चाहते हो? विजन क्या आपकी? आप बच्चे से नंबर ही चाहते हो? तो सुसाइड नहीं होगा, एंजाइटी नहीं होगी, डिप्रेशन नहीं होगा, क्योंकि हम बात कर रहे हैं उसके बारे में पूरा दिन. And if the father says, I'm a little stressed, and the little child will go and say, what stresses you, dad? And the dad has no answer. हमारे ज़माने में एक पर्दा रखा जाता था. बच्चे के सामने सारी बातों की बातचीत नहीं होती थी. अब हम सब बात करते हैं और ये सोचते हैं कि हम बच्चे को, we're raising the child to address all the problems. I'm sorry. You need to keep certain things away from the child. And then we think that it's not going to happen in our home. It's going to happen in somebody else's home. It's going to happen very much in our homes. So at hospital, we don't only see illnesses. We see a lot of areas where there's conflict. There's hardly any conflict resolution. We don't talk about problems. We only talk about happy things. So it's not just illnesses we see. I think the 3 big areas that we need to focus on, I've been here for a while and I've been listening to the conversations. I think the ownership, the responsibility and accountability, these 3 things make a child. And according to me, every teacher can be the best therapist, a best counselor. You don't need anyone. Teachers are trained to do it. And they can do it. We
Dr.
just need
Roma,
to support them.
That is such a beautiful thought. Atika, while we all, agree that, we need some solution as a society. But if you look at the world of spirituality, that itself is so fragmented. And everybody thinks that my technique is the best technique. And I will not, align with you because you belong to a different organization. My way of meditation is better than your way of meditation. And we see that even if you take this entire spiritual, or cosmos, there would be 10,000 different sampradayas in this who don't talk to each other. So, do you think this itself is, the divisions within the spiritual community itself are so severe that this is not going to move forward despite our best intentions?
You know what I feel कि ये जानते बूझते हुए भी at least we all agree कि जहाँ भी तुम्हारा मन करता है वहाँ जाओ और करो. It is just be spiritual. Just when I say spiritual, what is spiritual? The science of the spirit inside. That's all. There's nothing abracadabra, halabaloo about it. I'm not talking about some high funda gyan. No. The science of this inner spirit. उसके बारे में जहाँ भी तुमको कनेक्ट मिलता है, मे बी इट इज़ योर ग्रैंड मॉम, मे बी इट्स योर मॉम, मे बी इट्स योर गुरु, मे बी इट्स योर टीचर, जहाँ भी मिलता है, just get connected. You know something? You can't choose a guru, by the way. The guru will choose you. Okay? When the guru has to come into your life, he or she or that path will appear. And then you can't push it away. तो ये हमारे दिमाग से हमको निकाल देना चाहिए, ये fragmented है, ये है, वो है. Just make the child free from stresses, make them natural, make them authentic, and let them be free to go to their path, whichever the path is. That's what I feel. So at least people like us can start there. Whatever the other organizations are doing, or they are too stuck up with, okay, my technique is the best technique, let it be. We can't change them. But at least we can come to a consensus where we say, okay, listen, what I want for you is just be free from your stresses. What I want for my teachers is be free from your stresses and then teach. That's all. That's spirituality for me.
So talking about teachers, Ashwin, I'd like to come to you, and then Dr. Mahesh to you also. So, becoming a spiritual teacher or a teacher of spirituality, let's put it in some sense, it's not a very paying profession. So today, if I go to a grade 12 class and ask for a show of hands, how many of you want to be teachers? Maybe 2 or 3 will lift their hands. How many of you want to be meditation teachers? Maybe 0. So there are almost no economic incentives available. And if I'm not mistaken, Atika, most people in your organization are volunteers.
Yeah. You're all volunteers. Yes.
Yeah. So how many volunteers can you get? How many can you run an organization very successful? Okay. आप इस प्रॉब्लम को कैसे सॉल्व करते हो, कैसे देखते हो?
एक्चुअली मैं इस क्वेश्चन के बारे में सोच रहा था रास्ते में, आपने पूछ लिया है. When we use the word spirituality and all these kind of words and different schools of thought, and so what happens with that is that people get connected to, they feel it is something religious, it is not useful. So first of all, it has to be used as a science to become more happier. And if the parents know that you can find more clarity, the children can get more marks out of it. It is true. If you are more relaxed, alive, and joyful, what happens? You will now since I have become more meditative, my speed and thinking faculties have become so much. I really find a person who can match me. So they can also, when they know, the parents know that this can happen, that they will get better marks, they'll be more focused and more joyful. They'll be all ready. But we have to use maybe a different name for it. If you use spirituality and all these kind of traditional things come, yes, Vedas, the people who spoke about it, yes, that was the truth. That was the living truth of those people. Now they are dead. Dead in the sense, it is not your living truth. Those are words. Those are Vedas. There's transcription. So regarding I'll come back to you, and the people who will bring more joy and happiness, I'll not use word spirituality or meditation, because meditation is such a boring word. वो बोलोगे तो बच्चा भाग जाएगा. उसको सब कुछ करा दो, उसको पता ही लगे मेडिटेशन उसकी हो गई है, ऐसे कराओ। तो कहने का मतलब ये है कि द मेडिटेशन टीचर शुड बी पेड वेल. आई वॉज थिंकिंग दैट हाउ इट कैन हैपन इवन फॉर माई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. सो यहाँ पे एक मेडिटेशन टीचर आए हुए मेरे साथ बैठे हैं. सो द थिंग इज, so he was leading. So yes, they should be paid well. Why? Because it's a very creative job. If you change one individual, say one child, and it's that thing grows like, and even that point you'll ask the question later on how it can go, spread the movement. But yes, they should be paid well, and so that people raise hand. But it should not, this kind of thing does not come from the economic, because the person who is doing it for money, very rarely anybody has that talent.
Thank you, Ashwin. Dr. Mahesh, on a more serious note, education is very regulated. As you know, there are qualifications that are required for being a teacher in a school, and it's very difficult to find good teachers. I think one of the scarcest commodities on this planet is, good teachers. Forget even about, great teachers or great leaders. As someone who wants to implement spiritual techniques or spiritual practices in schools, but when you hit a roadblock as to where am I going to find the people, where would you look? Would you look at yoga schools, for example, to find people? Would you set up your own training programs? Would you hire people who've been, say, previously with the art of living? Can you, decode this problem for us? Because there are a lot of school leaders here who would like real answers to this question.
I think this is a very important question. I strongly believe that education without the spiritual component is meaningless. You're basically in school preparing them for the college admission for the best top university, and the colleges are preparing you for the work placement, right? And whatever we are witnessing around the world, I think it's a kind of a huge deficit in spirituality at large in the human civilization. Now, how to address this problem? So you can't have a specialized teacher for teaching meditation. I think I have a different take on meditation. I feel that whenever you are deeply involved in any pursuit, is meditative.
Very beautiful.
Whether you are cooking, whether you are teaching, whether you are painting or into music or writing or engaged in teaching. Okay, I remember I taught physics for many years, then switched over to psychology. So whenever I would go to the classroom, I would have all kind of problems and back of my head. But the moment I would enter the classroom, I'd forget everything. The connect that you have with kids, and you feel that you see that reciprocation from their side, you forget everything. You lose sense of space, time, everything. So I strongly believe that what even Jiddu Krishnamurti would say, that when you say that you are meditating, you are not meditating. Okay? Perfect. So meditation is not a deliberate thing. So when you are in a state of flow and deeply engaged in any pursuit, I think it's a meditative, whether you're teaching or doing anything, whether you're doing gardening, and you're deeply centered. I think a meditative mind, you're deeply connected to inner self. And when you're deeply connected to inner self, you see a connection with everybody. You have a natural empathy for everything, for flowers, for plants, for animals, for fellow human beings. So if you are really, really meditative, you cannot be violent. Okay, you will be centered, and you will be at peace with yourself and with others.
That is really a beautiful way of putting it, Dr. Mahesh. I know we don't have, that much time, but I'd like to take maybe one question from the audience. If anybody has a question from our esteemed panel.
Not exactly the question, probably a little solution or something what you were discussing, how to make it. So probably if we as teachers, because by profession I'm a teacher also, if we can inculcate in the mind of our teachers and the students that we are not going to make them students, we are going to make them seekers or vidyarthi. So the basic capacity, it's not that they have to just pass the exam, they have to go into rote learning mode, they have to read and vomit in the exam. It should not be that. Whatever they are doing, they should enjoy and they should seek what they want to seek. And that's why, like that Guru Shishya Parampara was there. The duty of Guru was to make the student a seeker, a Vidyarthi. So I think our teachers have to play that role, that students take interest in whatever they are doing, whatever they are planning to do, whatever they are studying, whatever they are doing in the class, even if they are on the playground. They are, as Sir was saying very rightly, that everything one can do with meditation is while concentrating and seeking the meaning of that and purpose of that. Thank you.
No, that's very interesting. Can maybe we can take. हाँ,
मैं ये सोच रहा था
हाँ,
जो इस पैनल का जो थीम है वो तो एड्रेस हुआ नहीं अभी
हाँ,
कि हाउ वी कैन ब्रिंग ए एक्सपोनेंशियल ग्रोथ
Would you like to talk about that?
I can
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah, we'll come to you. Yeah.
So the thing is that, so I want to say that how it can be brought to exponential growth. It should be so infectious. How this can spread like fire. It can happen. It can happen through, first is whatever we do, it should be experiential. No theory of scriptures and all that. No, it should be experiential. बातें नहीं कुछ, बातें तो करनी नहीं है. किसी को ज्ञान नहीं देना है, उनको एक्सपीरियंस में लाना है. और first thing is that you, whatever you design in your curriculum, it should be experiential and joyful, so that people are looking forward for that class. Or you can also find teachers who are integrate this thing in teaching. लेकिन तो ऐसे बंदे कहाँ से ढूंढोगे इतने सारे? Yes, second thing is the teachers should experience how to awaken their spirit. जब उनको अपना ही नहीं कुछ पता, अपना ही नहीं कुछ जागा हुआ, तो कैसे किसी को कर सकते हैं? तो उनको जगाना पड़ेगा. तो आप ऐसे बंदे तैयार करो तो इन सब टीचर्स को जगाएं, प्रिंसिपल्स को जगाएं, उनके फाउंडर्स को जगाएं.
So focus on the teachers before you go to students. हाँ.
हाँ, बच्चों को, टीचर्स को, और बाकी पॉलिसी मेकर्स तो पॉलिसी बना दे, आगे एग्जीक्यूट नहीं हो पाती. पॉलिसी मेकर भी आए होंगे यहाँ पे. So it should come to, and it'll spread with by the people speaking about it. When the parents feel that there is a change in their children, yes, it'll spread like fire. And certain schools like yours, you're a very spiritual man, if you become the one school which does that effectively, everybody wants to buy your curriculum. They want to bring spirituality to their school. So the thing is, it will be experiential. हम बातें करते हैं, even for you, sir. हम जैसे कहते हैं कि काम में ये से लीन हो जाओ. Yes, it is not a meditation, it is a one step before that. So I'll explain you. So the thing is that लीन होना भी बहुत अच्छी बात है, लेकिन लीन कैसे हो? उसके लिए हमें कुछ एक्टिविटी, फिजिकल एक्टिविटी, शारीरिक काम करने पड़ेंगे. नहीं तो आप काम में लीन नहीं होगे. भागता है इधर, दिमाग भागता है उधर, भागता है. वो कह रहा है मुझे शारीरिक चाहिए. कहने का मतलब ये है, बोर हो जाएंगे. सो उनको एक्सपीरियंसेस शरीर के थ्रू करना है, बॉडी के थ्रू नहीं, तभी काम फैल जाएगा ऐसे. थैंक यू.
Very interesting perspective. You had a question, ma'am?
Now I agree with Ashwin ji. Can I add on?
Yes, please, please, Atika. Please.
So just to add on, and since you were talking about policy change and all that, so this should be not just, repeating myself, not a add-on for doing something structured for teachers. It should be like a policy change when you do something for the teachers. We need to do something for them first, and then it'll transfer to the students.
Beautiful construct. Yes, ma'am.
Very true. That you have to make things interesting, otherwise kids are not going to do it. And to make things interesting, it is important to do it in the lingo that they understand. But I do just feel one thing, that somewhere around the way, we also need to kind of make them in touch with our heritage. Because it should not be like that, you know, we remember turmeric latte and we don't know dadi ka, haldi ka doodh. तो कहीं पे हमारा अपना भी तो वो लिंगो कहीं पे लाना है. Like I'm a yoga teacher. I'll say cobra pose. But I always say that it's also Bhujangasana. And I try to make them kind of repeat it.
What you're talking about, heritage, is a conditioning. Spirituality has no heritage. It has no heritage. No nationalities, no caste, creed, gender. It is beyond that.
None at all. Yep.
No, that I agree.
ठीक है, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
We are
Okay, I wanted to, just share two things. The yoga teachers and meditation teachers are volunteers. Last summer, I went to the Maharshi Yoga Hospital, and the person who teaches transcendental meditation there gets paid one hell of a lot.
okay. That's
For
wonderful.
doing
Good to
very-
know.
For doing few hours of work.
That's wonderful,
And
okay.
the Maharshi University, and they don't take it like a course. I mean, you can't go and enroll there like you enroll for a BA. They teach transcendental meditation, and those people do fine jobs.
No, very, very good to know. And I think this will develop a whole
Yeah.
tribe of teachers.
The problem is when people like this are around in the school and they're joyous, and they, it seems like they're not doing anything. They get, their salaries will get compared to the maths teacher who's doing, all those worksheets and things. So joyousness is not valued.
I completely agree with
Great
you.
point.
The same way like mental health counselors are treated in schools.
Yes.
We want mental health counselors. We are now looking for social emotional counselors. One counselor for 3,000 kids, it's a failure.
No, but the point that you said that every teacher can be a counselor, and I think that's true.
Yep.
You
We're all trained to do that.
The other thing is, about children don't like language and so on. My daughter went to Mirambika, and the ashrams, as somebody mentioned, they taught in the ashram. There was a Sanskrit teacher there who's now in the Rishihood University. You should see the kids singing in Sanskrit and talking. It's about how it's taught.
And also, when kids come to us in our hospital setups or in our clinical setups, parents would come and say, "Isko anxiety हो रही, पढ़ता नहीं है, टिक के नहीं बैठता, मैडम इसको meditation class करवा दें." It's the way that you're seeing meditation. I think this whole concept needs to change.
And the same kid will watch an ant for an hour.
Thank you so much.